Today's episode shows the fitting of the front grille and the battery rear wall, and I design and print some grommets. This is my rear wall piece that I've 3D printed and slotted into that poorly cut out hole left by the previous owner. There's a gap down this side. I tried to square that hole up as best I could, but it was overcut by the previous owner there. It's about as good as I can get. I think I will put some hot staples in this now to hold it in place. It looks good from the other side. Alright, I decided I'd put staples around the edge of that as well. I think that's going to be firm as. Some would probably say, why didn't you make it removable so that you could get to those things without taking the plastic off? Well, I'm more than happy taking the plastic off. That's that front grille just laying in position there at the moment. Put a bit of a set, it's no longer flat. Put a bit of a set in it to try and match the curve a bit better. The way I did that was I had my hot air gun set to 300 degrees, and it didn't take very much at all to get that a little bit soft, and it bent easily. Basically, that's how it's going to look at the front. I've now got to see how I can get it to fix from the rear. Fairly happy with that appearance. The shape of the grille is good enough. I suppose there's possibly slight brows showing at the top there, but overall it's pretty good. That's the grille sitting in place. I've taped it in place with some Gorilla Tape at the front, so I'm now going to hot staple it from the rear. Got to find suitable locations to do that. Well, that's it, hot stapled in place. The battery back wall looks very good. The grille is certainly an improvement on what was there. Warped a little bit down this side. I applied a little bit of heat to it, which was probably a mistake. There's a little dimple there from a hot staple that started to come through the front. Probably should just leave it well alone. This is a grommet that goes on one of the bolts in the bottom of the battery compartment. It's got a 12mm hole through the centre. It's got a 16mm, goes through a 16mm hole in the plastic, and it's around 24mm outside diameter there. It's overall about 12mm thick, with a 3.5mm groove effectively is the height. I had one of those, and I had one torn up one of those, and I thought, well, I could print some of those at a TPU. What I've done, I've made a two-part TPU print, and I've turned up some aluminium spacers to go in the middle, because these would have had a spacer in them, but I don't know what the spacer was like, because the screws were seized in the holes and the spacers were rusted onto the bolt that I had to drill out. What I've done here, you can see there's a two-part grommet because of the 3D printing doesn't like printing the overhang of the groove there. By printing one piece that looks like a top hat, and then another piece, and I actually made this larger diameter thinking that the wall thickness might have been a bit thin. This is only 2mm, 16mm, 12mm. The wall thickness there's only 2mm, and the overhang on the bottom there I think it was about 4mm, but I thought it would be better if it was a little bit larger. So I've made those rings. Those rings fit over the whole thing and effectively makes up the grommet. Then this washer here I've got is too large, but it will press down on the larger ring that'll be, the screw goes down through the floor of the battery with the, so the bolt, the washer, then the larger diameter ring that I made that's pressed over the top hat section, with the aluminium section in the centre, which I've made that 11.5 millimetres long when the overall thing here is 12 millimetres, so that there's a little bit of squish in the rubber, but then the bolt can tighten up hard against the shoulder. So I suspect there was either a shoulder bolt or a spacer type thing. I suspect it might have even been a shoulder bolt used as the original bolt through the original grommets. Anyway, I've made up 8 of those, because once you've set the printer, the 3D printer up, there's plenty of room of 8 pairs of TPU printed 2-part grommets on the bed of the table. I could have made double that many in one print. And then I went out to the lathe and I turned up pieces of aluminium. Charlie, you know who you are, you'd recognise that part. That was 12.7 millimetres diameter on the end. I think that's a test element for testing torsion or something of aluminium. I was able to get 2 12mm spacers off the end of those pieces. I've got a stack of these. So I used 2 of these test bars and got 2 off each end, making up the 8 spacers I needed, and that didn't take very long at all in the lathe. I parted them off. I needed to turn the outside down from 12.7 down to 12 millimetres to get the diameters right. So that's the story on these. A lot of work to make 2 mounting things when I've had one of them already, but I've now got 4 sets. I've got 4 quad bikes, and I really don't know what the other quad bikes are set up with. I can't remember seeing this system on the other ones. That's those 8 grommets, 2 parts, so there's 16 pieces shown there on the simulation of the slicer. Back on Infusion where I designed it, all I designed was the 2 parts and then multiplied the STL file by 8. So top hat section and just a ring, very simple designs this time. Is this a 3D printing site or a quad bike site? Get out to your shed and have some fun.